Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Sustain Sessions. This is episode 4, and I hope you've joined me for the rest of it so far, where I've just been giving my tips and my advice as a recording artist, entering into my 7th year of recording. Actually, my anniversary for recording will be this Sunday, which also happens to be my birthday, and the anniversary of my first EP, which was released in 2013. I'm releasing another EP on Sunday, which is called Breakthrough Sessions 2, and you can get that on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes if you're feeling generous, all that good stuff. So thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're really getting into the meat and potatoes of artistry. Now, when I say artistry, a lot of these sessions that I've been speaking about have been geared towards gospel artists, because I am a gospel artist, and this one is about giving and serving. Very controversial subject, but I think it's one of the things that has definitely enabled me to sustain myself as a gospel artist, has been the heart to give. You have a gift of music that God has given unto you. How much more so are you supposed to be a giver? I believe, especially being a Christian, being a gospel artist, you're called to give. You're definitely called to give of every part of you, really, and really should be viewing gospel artistry as a ministry. It is weird because gospel artistry kind of toes the line a little bit at times between, is it ministry, is it entertainment, what is it? I think it's different things for different people, if I'm honest. For me personally, I've mentioned this in a previous video, I covenanted with God for my music, and so being a gospel artist for me is ministry. It's 100% ministry. I always try to let God lead and direct the things I'm doing, which I believe if you're doing will definitely lead you towards giving and serving. And so giving, I know, is a little bit of a controversial one. There's so many people that don't believe in giving nowadays, but the thing is, you just have to look at the nature of God. God is a giver. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. God gives you the power to make wealth. He gives you life and life abundantly. There's so much giving that happens from God, and it says that we're created in God's image. As such, I believe we're called to be givers. I don't think that you can live your life or live your ministry outside of the context of giving. What are some of the ways that you can give? Well, for me, I've touched on this previously. I think personally, I'll just start about where I've given, and then you'll have a bit more of an idea. So for me, in terms of giving, some of the things I've given over time, and I won't name who I've given them to or what I've actually given, just for purposes, I don't believe that when you give things that you should be announcing it big, like, okay, I've given XYZ to XYZ, but I've given of music equipment, computers, instruments, my time, my money, and a lot of times I've just felt led to give. So I mean, a lot of the things I've given has been my artistry. I don't ask for a fee wherever I go. I won't say to you, if they ask me how much do you charge, depends what it's for. If it's a secular gig, I'll tell you the rate. If it's a gospel event and I believe it's definitely for the gospel, then I will actually just say, well, just whatever you feel led to, your honorarium and maybe travel expenses. I think travel expenses is fair, but I always see my gift as an opportunity to give. It's an opportunity to give onto people. As I said, people will view this all different ways. I'm not trying to convince you of the way that you should see it. Your conviction and the other things you have are between you and God. So I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm just here to share what has personally worked for me. So as I said, I've given a number of different things. I give to people. I personally give of my money as well towards church, towards various different things, towards things that I feel led to give. And it can be challenging. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Giving is not one of those things that you just wake up and you're just like, okay, I'm a giver now. I'm just going to give in everything. No, it's a process. And I think it's one of those things like picking up your cross and dying to self. Like, you're body, your mind will always want to do that which is convenient, and giving is not a convenient thing. Like, giving isn't something that's like, but once you do give, it actually feels good to give. And the Bible even says that it's greater to give than to receive. There is a part of giving that actually really does bless you, and it's not because of what you get back from it. Sometimes it's just even to see the other person blessed, and like to prefer people above yourself. So for me, like, it's been one of the things I'm currently trying to transition through, because I do have 4 kids, I do have a wife, I do have many things I have to do. So I do want to bring into an element where I believe that people should honor your time by remunerating you with money. But what I would say is, up until this point, a lot of the stuff I've done is for free in terms of gigs. And the thing that I'll get to is that I've actually been paid for some of this stuff. Like, I've gone with the heart to do it for free, and people have reached in their pocket and given me money. On top of that, I've just been so blessed in life beyond, and monetary wise as well. I couldn't even tell you the amount of money I've been blessed with, but I've been blessed enough that I don't have to worry about equipment. I don't have to worry about fees to release my music. I don't have to worry about these things. And I think part of the thing that sustained me has been giving, the ability to say, okay, you know what, I don't necessarily have the most amount of money in the world at that time, but let me give somebody who I think's in need, or somebody who I think will need this just as a blessing or an encouragement. I've given some stuff which has kind of have hurt me at times, where I've been like, wow, like I gave that, like. But in my mind, when I've given my heart to give, I have a thing where I just let go of it and I give it onto the person, and I'd rather just see them blessed. And you know what? Time after time, as I said, God just continues to bless me and give me things. And really, I've really walked in abundance in so many areas of my life that at this point, I can't lie to you and tell you that giving is not a good thing. Like, it really is. And as I said, not for what you get out of it, but you will get something out of it. That's the reality. You will get, because he even says in the Bible, giving, it will be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. We always hear these things, but that's Bible. That's actually scripture. And if you believe in the authority of the word of God, that's something that actually is in the word. So I'd encourage you with that. So as I said, who to give to, as I said, bless people with give freely of your time, your energy, and your effort. When someone, a lot of times I view things in a different way, because as I said, I'm not always hungry for opportunities. I'm not always hungry for a stage. I'm not always hungry to do things. Not because I've got no ambition. I definitely have ambition, but I temper that because, as I said, the thing is with me, I've covenanted with God for my music. So I know that certain things that come up, it's God that sends people. And sometimes God doesn't send people. You have to know that as well. Sometimes you have to be careful with your time. I'm not telling you just give to everything. There's certain things that will come up and you're like, nah, that's not for me. I'm not meant to be giving to that. Nah, I'm not meant to be involved with that. So, no, I'm not going to be part of it. But there will be stuff sometimes that will come and it will just be a God connection. And a free tip I'll give you is it doesn't always look perfect or right when it comes along, but you'll have like a still small voice and just a peace that's like, okay, I should do this. I don't really know why I should do this. I just feel like I should do this. And you'll just feel the Holy Spirit just leading you to do it. And just do it. You know, it's part of the adventure, like some of the adventures with God. You just don't know where it's going to go. And I've made some of my greatest connections, my greatest friendships, my greatest things by giving. One of the things we used to do and where I met some of my greatest connections was something called Sunday Night Live at Picture House in Stratford. I'm originally from East London. So every Sunday, this was after I was saved, I think it was maybe about 23, we used to go and sing at the cinema, in the bar in the cinema, every Sunday without fail. I would go there, and there wasn't any money involved. Yes, I got to hang out with friends. Yes, I was a single person, so I had that time and that liberty to do that. But I used to just give them my gift every single week there, and not necessarily because I was expecting anything in return. And every week I'd be there, whether or not, you know, it felt convenient to me. And giving, and just being consistent and part of sustain, which is also a key in giving and just in sustaining as an artist, is to really do things even when you don't feel like you need to do it. You need to honor your word. If you're saying you're going to do something, you need to do it, and you need to be a person of your word. I think that's a very important thing. Like for me, if I say I'm doing it, I'm going to do it. Like unless someone passes away or something really big comes up. Obviously now I've got children, and so, you know, and my wife, we've got a lot of kids, so it's not necessarily just going to be on the basis of someone passing away now for me where I might cancel an event. But always try to see things in advance. You know, if you know you're not going to do something, just be honest and say, I don't think I'm going to do it. You know, just open up and use your words wisely, and say what you mean and mean what you say. And if it's 72 hours, give people notice. You know, if you're not going to do something, give them notice you're not going to do it. Be honest, be open about it, and people will respect you more for it if you can just be honest and say, look, I don't think I can do it. The other thing I would say, so giving, as I said, number one, and number two is serving. Serving is a huge one. Like, you're called to serve with this gift. The Bible says, he who's faithful in little be faithful in much, and it's the faithful steward, the one that is serving well with the gift and the talents, that gets more. Which is crazy when you think about it. Some people only have one talent and they hide it and they bury it. But there's a mystery in that. Like for me personally, like I've started with one talent, but at this point I definitely do not have more. I definitely do not have one talent. But I was faithful with that one talent, and then God knew he could give me more. And he just kept on giving me more and more talents. And now all of them grow because I try to be faithful with all of them, which is very tough. Very tough to be faithful with a lot of talents, but you try and serve God with them, and then eventually they kind of become a melting pot, and then they become an expression of who you are. But yeah, one of the things I would encourage people to serve is to serve their local church. I've got at the moment My Church London. That's where I am the lead praise and worship director there at My Church London, and I've been serving there since I was married, so beyond about 7 years now. And yeah, I've just grown so much from being there and just serving the church. Like, there was a year particularly, which was recently, and I hadn't put out any music, and God just told me at the beginning of the year, don't put out any music, just serve your church. And it was tough. Like, it was tough to actually say, you know what, I'm going to put my agenda aside and I'm just going to serve the ministry. But it was such a blessing in that, and it's allowed me to really view the artist thing in context, because the reality is, right, you may be a creative all of your days, you may be a songwriter all your days, you may be a singer all your days, but you may not be an artist in the current form you are right now in all of your days. So serving, you have to be able to serve in a capacity that is beyond you. It's beyond you, and it's not self-serving. As artists, we can get very, very caught up in the world of self-serving. Does this opportunity serve me? Does this help me? But the best thing you can do with your gift is to serve something that you know that may not necessarily give back to you, and may even challenge you and may even correct you, because that is the way that you will actually grow the most. I think I've grown the most serving my church, and it's helped me because I'd serve and then I have my artistry. I don't try and mix the two. I keep them very separate. When I serve the ministry, I'm serving without an agenda, without anything that I can get back. When I serve myself as an artist, I'm serving God, and I am to an extent serving myself. So it's very different. The texture is very different. But I believe it's like giving back to God. Like, can you imagine you have a talent and a gift that your local church needs, and you're sitting on it, and you could be the answer for your local church in whatever things that they are struggling to do. Now, your local church isn't going to be perfect. Tell you that straight up. Be led. Let the Lord lead you to where you need to go. Every church I felt I went to, God led me to that church. In and out of every church I've been to. So I'll just encourage you, let God lead you to where you think He's telling you to go. be led to that place, and serve in that place. Have no problem serving there, man. Have no issue serving there. Um, for me, as I said, it will open up gifts for you. Like for me, as a praise and worship leader, I never viewed myself as a praise and worship leader. I viewed myself firstly as an artist, and just an artist or just a songwriter. I never viewed myself as a praise and worship leader. And now, strangely enough, the EP I'm releasing on Sunday is a worship EP. I feel like that's become part of my DNA, worship, because I've been a praise and worship leader in my church. But it's not because now I'm doing something that's convenient. It's like I've developed a passion for praise and worship and the presence of God in music. And I think sometimes when you're doing your artistry, it can all be centered around you or centered around your world. And you know, even in the Bible, when it says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. So when you lift up God in music, like, it does something more, because you're not just serving yourself, like, you're serving God. But again, it doesn't mean, as I said in previous things, that you're going to be successful doing it. You just do it because it's the right thing to do, and you serve God with your gift and your talent. Not saying do exactly as me, but I'm saying that the local church one, that's a big tip. It's a big tip. Embrace it, try it, do it. Room will be made for you. So for me, I've had times where I've served God and I know that, like, there's things that I need, and God will just open it up for me, you know, because he knows that, you know, I'm not going to squander it. I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to be still serving wherever I need to be serving. I think you'll also learn a lot more about yourself. You definitely, in serving, you learn more about yourself. You learn about your weaknesses. You learn where your pressure points are. You learn what you can and can't do. Like, there's a lot of things that you might do as an artist that you can't do in a church environment. They just will not mesh together. They won't mesh together correctly. And so that can be challenging. Learning that you aren't the be all and end all. You know, I think that's one of the best lessons you can learn from the church. It's not all about you. You know, the song says it's all about you, Jesus. No, it's all about you, Matthew. It's not all about you, whoever it is that may be watching. Do you know what I mean? So it's a challenging one, but do it, man. Do it. I think you also develop great connections in serving. As I said, some of the best connections I made was serving at Picture House. You know, we used to call it Gospel House, serving there, serving in church. Like, there's so many relationships I've formed from serving and just meeting people. Like, I think one of the main things, lots of people worry about a life partner and about all these different things. But what I've realized is, once you're serving God, God knows everything you need, and he'll supply all of your needs. It says, seek ye first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all other things shall be added. And I'm really a living testimony of that. Like, I'm not the most holy person. I'm not the most prayerful person in the world. I'm not the most anything. It's by the grace of God. But what I do know is that when I've put God first and I've put his agenda first, he's always made sure that everything with me is taken care of. So let that be what it is. You know what I mean? As I said, doors will open for you as well. Like, you'd be surprised, some closed doors. Sometimes God just wants you to serve, and when you serve, certain doors will just open up, and you're like, oh, okay, like, I didn't even know that was meant to open up for me. But it's just the grace of God and the connections you make, and stuff like that. For me, one of the main reasons I would say as well to be connected to your local church, and I know a lot of artists struggle with this because sometimes pastors want to control your gift, is to have covering. I think it's important to have covering. Depending on the kind of artist you are, get yourself behind a good quality man, woman of God, because if you're going out into the world to do various different things, different artistry and stuff like that, there'll be times when you're gonna probably come across things that are beyond you, in honesty, challenges, where maybe sometimes you won't even know what to do, and it's good to have a covering, a good quality covering. Like my pastor, Apostle Phil, he will always, sometimes at times I won't know what to do, and I'll ask him, and he'll help me, you know, because he's there as an oversight for me. He protects me, prays for me, and he covers me, you know, and that's invaluable to have people that ride for you in this industry and who care for you. It's very, very important. So yeah, I just think giving and serving, as I said, this is a very, very gospelly sustain sessions, but it's important, if you're going to sustain, to keep your heart and your mind on the thing that you're here for. And one of the best ways you can do that is by serving and giving, and not letting it said, as I said, be all about you. It's about the kingdom and about what you can do for others and how you can be a blessing while you're on this earth. And let that be your legacy. If nobody remembers you for anything else, let them remember that you gave and that you loved people and that you served people, because I think that stuff rings out more into eternity than anything else. I think most of the greatest people are people that gave, people that served others, even if whether they knew they were doing it or not. So yeah, that's it. As I said, as a musician, you are a servant. Even if as you're doing it secularly, you are serving your gift up to people for them to consume. And so you're like, the music waiter. Do you know what I mean? Serving up food and that. So chefing it up. But that concludes giving and serving. That's part 4. Please join me for part 5, the concluding part of these sustain sessions. Thank you so much for being involved and watching and enjoying things so far, and I look forward to bringing you part 5. Pray for me, pray for this release, and that God will be glorified in it. And thank you so much for joining. God bless, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.